Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries as we talk about Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, Sunday, May 8th, 2022. A delightful show from top to bottom. You know, some twists and turns here and there, but pretty straightforward, solid show. Let's start with some news and notes. There's 2 notes. First note is there's been floating around a bit that Bray Wyatt may never return to wrestling. This was according to a friend, somebody who actually knows him, who says that Wyatt is pretty financially secure. The dirt sheets are coupling that comment with the comment that his price for coming to wrestling, back to wrestling, is pretty high. That tells me that he did pretty well when he was in WWE, and it's always nice to hear that a guy who is not even 40 can comfortably walk away from the business. Now, I'm not saying that I want him to go away. What I'm saying is if he feels that he can take care of himself and he's like 35 and he's good and he doesn't want to do this anymore and he doesn't feel like he has to, then that's awesome. I mean, what other businesses? I mean, the NBA and the NFL and a lot of those kinds of sports, they kind of force you into retirement at 35. A lot of those, you pushing it, at 35 or 36. But wrestling usually holds on to people forever. So if he feels like he made enough money to take care of, his family at 35, then bless him. But I don't know that that's true. You do have to ask the question, what is left? What is there left for him to prove? What is there left for him to deal with? He's done pretty much everything that there is to do in WWE, except get a sustained run as champion, I guess. But I don't know. It would have to be the whole McCarade of Freedom thing where he wants to make like horror movie documentaries or whatever in the wrestling ring. That's the only thing I could think that, would be left for him to do. Other than that, he's done a lot. And if he feels like he's done, then he's done. But I don't believe it. I think he will be coming back eventually. I think that he's just, why go back cheaply? Your worth. Don't go back for less money. And if you're going to go back for a pay raise, get the maximum amount of money you can. All right. Similarly, Roman Reigns did a post-show promo in Trenton, New Jersey, in which he says that he's moving into a new phase of his career and that he may never come back to this town again. And it wasn't said in a heel way where he was like, he hates this place and he never wants to come back. But kind of in a thank everybody, thank you all for coming out. I never know if I want to see you guys again. And then this led to all of the speculation about Roman Reigns going to Hollywood and Roman Reigns retiring. His cancer came back. All this stuff. It's just a lot of speculation. And without talking to the man, we don't know what he meant. It was very weird that he would make that statement in Trenton, New Jersey. Which, of all places, by the way, of all places, why New Jersey? But I think that everybody who is jumping the gun, saying that Roman's going to retire, Hollywood's coming a calling, I mean, that all might be true. Doesn't mean that it's over yet. Now, could it be possible that, as they gear up towards Roman finally dropping the belts, that he may move away from wrestling in a full-time role, which is what I was thinking. And I think a couple of other smart people said the same thing, that maybe he's going to move into the part-time role, no longer doing the house show loops and that sort of thing. To me, that makes sense. He doesn't need to work as hard. That's the one thing about there being a singular top guy in WWE that is kind of a dreadful position, is that you work harder than most other people. Roman is still doing house shows. Now, they have cut down a lot of his workload by having him do 6-man tags quite often. But Roman is still working house shows. He's still making towns. And it's kind of like, we really don't need Roman to make towns. I get it. You need it for the house and everything, which is why I think that he was added to this 6-man tag. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about that, too. Why did they get rid of the title unification idea? Why not go on with that? Now, there was Billy Body, who is the sort of reporter for K100 of Conan. He's pretty on point, and I think a lot of his stuff is pretty logical. But he is a dirt sheet writer, so take it for what it's worth. But his theory of why they got rid of the title unification concept is that the Usos would win. So at that point, you would be damaging RK Bro. Now, if what he said is true, and that RK Bro is the second highest selling merchandise as far as the full-time act is concerned coming out of WrestleMania, that's why they're still together, and that's why they nixed the title unification idea, is so RK Bro wouldn't lose the titles, therefore, and also pushed back the breakup. Which sounds right to me. It sounds like the financial incentive would change the creative. But my other idea would be that perhaps they didn't trust having a pay-per-view without Roman Reigns. Could it have been NBC say, hey, more people will watch your show if you put Roman on it? Possible. Could it be that, ticket sales were not what they wanted them to be, and they needed to add Roman to the show so that the ticket sales would go up? It's entirely possible. But I think all of that needs to be factored in, into why the title unification concept was dropped. But I think it will be revisited later. I do believe that. I think, they will revisit it probably whenever it's time to break up RK Bro. But to double back to the whole Roman thing, I think people are making a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to this Roman stuff. He's at the age and at the position where it's time to start moving him on to part-time role. He's 36. He's been on top for 7 or 8 years. They've got some pretty good prospects in the chamber right now. They're not on that level yet. So it's not like you could leave Austin Theory and Braun Breaker and those guys to main event the house show loop. I don't think you can do that. But you have guys that are there, that are young, who are going to need the reps, and Roman doesn't really need them. You just need Roman for the house shows, for the name. That's like they did with Cena. I think they had Cena doing 6-man tags too during the whole summer of Cena thing. He basically did 6-man tags the whole time. So it's a cool idea, but I don't think that he meant that he was going to retire or that his cancer is coming back. I do think he ended up going to Hollywood eventually. I think it's probably a smarter move for him and his family to go on to Hollywood, but not right now. I think it's a little soon right now. Plus, he still has the belts. But who knows? Maybe Trenton is not going to be on the schedule for a while, and he knows it, and this is his way of telling everybody. Who knows? All right, so let's get into this show finally. 10 minutes of preamble. My bad, y'all. All right. Match 1. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Easily the match of the night. This match, bang. This was, I'm not going to say it was a classic, but it was fantastic. This match told an excellent story from beginning to end, and it ended the way that your boy said that it would. Some type of fluky roll-up that will lead to match 3. Perfect decision-making. The story going into this match was that Seth Rollins complained that he was not ready going into the WrestleMania match, and he didn't know who his opponent was going to be. Now that he knows who his opponent is going to be, he's going to defeat Cody Rhodes because he's better than Cody Rhodes. So in this match, they basically showed you just that Seth Rollins was more prepared. He was countering a lot of Cody's offense, which was frustrating Cody. He knew most of Cody's moves now, and it was excellent. That's how they built the match. Even in the wrestling part of the show, where it was supposed to be the babyface shine, instead it was Seth Rollins countering all of Cody's stuff. And Cody would get frustrated as Seth would laugh at him, and it was really a meaty match. They did the Japanese spot where they just stood and just chopped each other in the chest. It's not quite the equivalent of the WWE Boo Yay thing, but it kind of is. It's the Eastern equivalent. But you don't see this very often in WWE when it comes to guys just allowing themselves to be chopped in the chest. And they just stand there and let it happen. The Ishii spot, the Suzuki spot. This is no doubt a Cody Rhodes addition to WWE's roster. There was a lot of spots in this match. I mean, I don't just mean things that occurred. I meant sequences. For instance, the Cody tries to do a springboard, gets caught, powerbombed into the turnbuckle, and that leads into something else. There was a lot of that in this match. There was a superplex from the top rope. That was, of course, Cody. I mean, not Cody, but Seth Rollins likes to do the superplex into the Falcon Arrow. That was countered into the Crossroads. So not only did you bury the superplex from the top rope, which, superplex used to be a big move, but then he kicked out of the Crossroads. So you buried the Crossroads too. It was that kind of stuff that kind of threw me for a loop. And I was like, come on. But this match was awesome. It was, Seth Rollins went for an O'Connor roll, which is off the ropes. Cody counters it, pulls the tights, gets the 3 count. Seth he was shocked that Cody beat him. He put all of the heat on the referee. He yelled at the ref. So now we know where we're going for match 3. We're going match 3, probably Hell in a Cell. Cody, Rollins. It wouldn't make any sense because Rhodes won both of the matches, but it would make sense for Seth Rollins to not be done with this or to provoke a third match. Because the first half of this feud was about respect and how much they respect one another. And then, Seth started to make it personal. And now we're at the point where Seth can now go even lower, where he's lost twice. So now he's got nothing to prove, or he's got something to prove rather. Going to have a chip on his shoulder, going to be a lot more devious, a lot more violent. Who knows what may happen. Maybe we'll get a spot where, he shows up at Cody's house or something like that. But I can definitely see them getting one of those Hell in a Cell spots on June 5th, which I was a fool who thought that Money in the Bank was next. But it's actually Hell in a Cell. So there we go. Excellent contest from top to bottom. Even some of my criticisms are minor. Next match, Omos defeats Bobby Lashley. They've changed Omos's nickname from the Colossus, which I actually preferred, to the Nigerian Giant, which is very generic. It is very generic. Omos had a lot of nerves. He broke out the Undertaker's Snake Eyes and Big Boot combination. And I was like, the nerve of this kid. The nerve of him. This match was fine. It was better than that match at WrestleMania because the match at WrestleMania was only like 6 minutes. So Omos got more ring time here. They finished the story, which the story is that Omos lost to Lashley due to his own inexperience, and that with MVP things would change. So clearly MVP stabs Lashley in the throat with his cane, leads to the tree slam, and Omos wins. Perfect finish. It's 50-50 booking, but it's the heels cheating. The only problem I have, I think this match was probably too long. Obviously, it was a short show as far as the card was concerned. So I thought but I did think the match was too long. And Omos didn't do terrible here, but he's a giant, which means his mobility is not going to be the same as everybody else's. And that's a big problem for some certain wrestling fans. Let's put it that way. They just don't like giants, just like they just don't like muscular guys unless you can do all the flippity doodads. They don't like giants either. But I can appreciate that, how hard Omos worked in this match. But he needs to vary up his offense a little bit, and he'll learn. He's still a very young guy. I don't think he's 30 yet, so he'll learn, and he'll get it eventually. But this pairing with MVP was certainly necessary, and certainly, Lashley doesn't lose anything from being cheated. Only problem with this is it begs a third match, which, is the story of the evening, if we want to be honest. There's certainly going to be a third match in this situation. Maybe a Lashley versus Omos with, last man standing or something like that. And if Lashley wins, he gets 5 minutes alone with MVP. That would be what I would go with it. I would keep the story between Lashley and MVP, and Omos is just kind of in the way. So Lashley versus Omos, last man standing. If He wins, he gets 5 minutes alone with MVP or something to that. Or they'll do a straight up singles match, and if he wins, he gets 5 minutes with MVP or whatever. Because he did actually get his hands on MVP in this match, but he didn't really get a chance to do anything to him. It mostly served as a distraction to give Omos the upper hand again. All right, so they announced that Money in the Bank will be July the 2nd, and it will be a stadium show in Las Vegas. An interesting tidbit here is that Cody actually said in this commercial that this is a chance for the winner to main event WrestleMania. And this caused a lot of confusion as people are like, what? The winner can main event WrestleMania? And it's like, well, yes, theoretically speaking, any Money in the Bank winner can main event WrestleMania. They would just have to hold on to the briefcase until that time, which is what I'm guessing if a certain Rhodes family member were to win the Money in the Bank, that's what he would do. Now, would I do that? No, I wouldn't even put Cody in this match, if we're being honest. I wouldn't even put him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. To me, I think Cody has to take the hard road to the title. The harder the road, the better. And in the hardest road possible is to be like number 2 or 3 in the Royal Rumble and win it. Like, that's the hardest road possible. And I think that's the way they should go with it in order to, build up some sympathy. You don't want Cody walking around with that goddamn briefcase for, it would be 7 months or something like that at that point in time. Probably 8 months, 10 months. He'd be carrying that damn thing around forever. Like, you don't really want somebody who, and you certainly don't want him, attacking Roman from behind, cashing in the briefcase in order to get the title, because that'll blow the story. The story is that, he's working for the title, and he wants the title the right way. Stealing the belt via Money in the Bank doesn't seem right to me. Putting Cody in the match and then having him grab the briefcase and then get bopped in the head with something, and then he falls off the ladder and loses, that makes a lot more sense to me. So maybe that's what they would do. Instead of pinning Cody, they'll have him lose a Money in the Bank match to whoever else. We'll speculate on that at some other point. But yeah, theoretically, anybody who wins the Money in the Bank could be the main event of WrestleMania. I mean, Seth Rollins did it. It's just WWE has not used the Money in the Bank in that way yet. Which, it would make perfect sense. If somebody says, well, look, it's January. I could go into the Royal Rumble and win it. Or I could declare right now that I will be main eventing WrestleMania because I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank briefcase. Period. So, you can make the Royal Rumble moot, and because there's only one champion right now. Or you could split the titles again and, the Money in the Bank winner chases one title and the Royal Rumble winner chases the other title. You could always do that. But theoretically, yes, the Money in the Bank winner can main event WrestleMania. All right, third match on the show, AJ Styles versus Edge. This match also much better than their WrestleMania contest. Faster paced. I think it told a better story too. During Edge's entrance, they announced every fucking thing except his weight and his hometown. Former Intercontinental Champion, former United States Champion, 2-time Hall of Famer. And I'm like, no, damn. Well, he's not a 2-time Hall of Famer, but I was embellishing. Don't blame me for it's artistic license. I was embellishing. So I like that they threw hands to start. There was no wrestling. They just kind of met in the middle of the ring to start throwing hands. It was the right thing to do. AJ Styles was wearing the shoulder supports, so that lets you know what the story is going to be for the match, and that's what Edge targets throughout the match is the shoulder of AJ Styles. AJ busts out a springing Acai moonsault, turning back the clock. Top rope Hurricanrana. Some pretty high profile stuff here. I love the spot with the Styles Clash off the ring ropes, which I thought was fantastic. I think I have seen him do that before, but I can't remember against who. He takes the old gut buster on the ropes where he suplexes you on the ropes. And then Edge is hanging on the ropes. And then AJ Styles, because he's got that injured wing, he got that injured arm, he uses the ropes to stabilize Edge. And then he hits him with the Styles Clash. I thought that was fantastic. Fantastic spot. Great false finish too. Damian Priest comes down to the aisleway. He came to the end of the aisle. They're splitting hairs. Technically, he did not come ringside because he didn't get that close to the ring. He was technically still in the aisleway. Finn Balor attacks Priest from behind. He actually, through his force of attack, knocks Priest into the ringside area. He throws Priest into the ring. Him and Priest roll through the ring in combat. Styles is looking like, what the fuck? What are these guys doing, man? While he's confused, a hooded figure attacks AJ from underneath the ring. This leads to a crossface, which you would think AJ Styles would have tapped out. He didn't. Edge switches it to a sleeper hold, chokes AJ Styles out, and wins the match. The hooded figure then introduces themselves as Rhea Ripley, who, fantastic decision. Good shit. Rhea Ripley needed this. She needed this in the worst way. And despite the fact that people were kind of pissed at the finish, they cheered when when Rhea Ripley revealed herself to be a member of Judgment Day. This was very cool. Great for her career. For everybody out there who is saying Balor is going to turn on Styles, I think this solidified it. I still think that we're going to get some Styles and Balor stuff for a little while. But now that they've got a mixed gender faction, which only means that Liv Morgan is probably going to be brought in to team up with AJ and Balor for a little while, which is cool. It's a great elevation of Liv Morgan. She gets off main event. So they could do mixed 6-man tags, which ought to be badass. Mixed tag matches, that could be badass. It could be pretty fun. So, but I think that if you watch what occurred here, it was Balor that caused Priest to go ringside. It was Balor that put Priest in the ring. And so we're in this position where it was Balor that caused the distraction. It was his overzealousness that caused the distraction. So perhaps AJ is going to blame Balor for it. We don't know. But as of right now, I thought it was okay. They kind of shit on he can't come ringside. Like I said, they're splitting hairs by saying it's the aisleway, it's not the ring. But he should have been up on the ramp. He shouldn't have been there at all. But I get why they did that. You didn't really need Priest, to be quite honest, in this situation. Because if you're going to have a second hooded figure come out, or a hooded figure come out, you didn't need Priest to be the distraction. You could have just had the hooded figure be the distraction. Or the hooded figure is the one who pulls his leg while he tries to do the phenomenal forearm. In this situation, just like the previous 2 matches, they leave open a lot of opportunity for a third match. Are we going to actually get a third match? Now, this is a feud that also could probably use a Hell in a Cell stipulation due to all the interference that has been going on in this feud. And this feud has been, plagued with, backfighting and a lot of other stuff. And I think they did a good job here by doing the Rhea Ripley reveal rather than doing the Finn Balor switch, because I think I saw a lot of people that were absolutely ready for the Finn Balor heel turn. They were waiting on it. They were chomping at the bit for it. Make them wait. Make them wait. Make them pay attention to every single segment before you do it. Milk it. People are looking forward to it. People are looking for it. Milk it. Don't give it away so easy. There is a question of should it have been a disqualification when Balor and Priest went into the ring. I don't think so, because they didn't make contact with any of the performers. But that is another one of those things where we probably could have avoided that by not having Priest out there at all. But I don't think it took away from the match to the degree that it's worth, bitching and moaning about. All right, so the I Quit match. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. This match was tremendous. This match was really good. We start with Pat McAfee saying that we will accept I quit in any language, and he says 3 or 4 different languages they say I quit in. They referenced Survivor Series when the kendo stick started to come out. Ronda Rousey shows off her abilities as a Star Wars nerd. I forgot she was a dork. I saw her wearing a Dragon Ball shirt before. I was like, oh my god, anime nerds, they're everywhere. They're seeping through the pores of the floors of every building that they enter in. Anyway, I thought it was funny when Charlotte grabbed the camera and threw it at Ronda. That was excellent. The chokehold on the barricade that Charlotte did to Ronda, I thought that was a great spot. The clutch, the powerbomb into the barricade was also pretty sweet by Charlotte. But my favorite spot was the Tree of Woe armbar. I thought that was a phenomenal spot. And I thought that should have been the finish. Because how does Charlotte get out of that? You know, like she's literally hanging upside down in an armbar. And she sold it verbally perfectly. All the screaming and howling and everything. It was fantastic. Now, when I saw the actual finish, which was the armbar plus a chair, I said to myself, it was weak in comparison to the armbar while she was upside down. Now, this match went away from the story that they were telling. Now, this had been the A story of SmackDown since WrestleMania. So for the last month, the top story of SmackDown has been Ronda Rousey and Charlotte, and it's been about Ronda Rousey learning different moves. You know, it was all about the ankle lock and all that kind of stuff. And we went away from that. She did not win with the ankle lock here. She won with the old trusty armbar. But I liked the match. I thought the match was great. Charlotte worked her ass off. Ronda did a very good job. That hellacious German suplex that Ronda took was... There's something about Ronda selling. She's actually very good at selling. She's actually very good. So Ronda is the champion. Charlotte is out. And as what should have been expected, we are told later that Charlotte has a fractured radius. Then Dr. Pat McAfee explains to us what a radius is by telling us about the two bones in the forearm, which I say you should always explain to your audience what's going on. You say, oh, she's got a fractured radius. And people are kind of like, what's that? And then, Pat McAfee is there to play doctor and tell us what it means. Why was he the one to deliver that information? I don't know. But do I care? No, not really. Not at all. I'm glad that it was him. Thank you. Thank you for explaining things to me, Pat McAfee. I love you. Match 5. Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin. Madcap Moss is still in the same get-up. He won with a very explosive looking sunset flip. It was probably the best sunset flip I've seen in forever. It was a mid match, but as a match that I didn't care about, it was better than I thought it would be. But it was what it was, and I don't think anybody was happy or sad if it would have been cut or if it was there or not. After the match, McAfee goes off on Corbin, calls him bum ass, sad ass, frowny ass Corbin. I love how he just like absolutely roasts Baron Corbin like permanently, like all the time. Decent match. Main event, the Bloodline defeat RK Bro and Drew McIntyre in a match that was completely surprising to me. For starters, I was surprised this was the main event. I know everybody's like, Roman Reigns is in this match. Like, yeah, but it's a no stakes 6-man tag. Like there's nothing to be gained or lost in this match. Nothing was on the line, which is why I thought Drew McIntyre would pin Roman in this match to send people home happy. In a way where it'd be like, whoa, maybe there were no stakes going in, but you create stakes coming out. And then the story they were telling was that Roman didn't want to be in the ring with Drew McIntyre. He was absolutely avoiding Drew McIntyre in the early part of this match. My critiques of this match are limited to, I felt this match was too long. And I felt like it took us too long to get here. I think it was some dork. I think it might have been Wade Keller. Counted the seconds between the ending of Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss to the beginning of this match and said it was almost 20 minutes or something like that. It's absolutely dork shit, but it's a useful heuristic. Now, it's useful information because it shows that WWE was stretching this show to 3 hours even though they didn't need to. They should have just ended the show a little bit early. It wouldn't have cost them any extra money. At least I don't think so. But Drew, I have Peacock Plus or Peacock Premium, whatever the fuck they're calling it. So I got a vignette for Drew McIntyre when y'all probably got commercials. And in this vignette, Drew McIntyre says that he didn't want his legacy when he left the WWE. He came back because he didn't want his legacy to be the idiot playing air guitar. And I was like, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's very true. You know, that's not, why would you want that to be the last thing people know you for? But this match was very hot. The work rate guys did their work rate stuff. Riddle is tremendous. The Usos are tremendous. A lot of taunting on the Bloodline side. They taunt a lot. They taunt a lot. Some really good false finishes here when it comes to this match. The table spot where Roman slammed McIntyre on the table, I thought that was useful. And as far as keeping McIntyre under control, the RKO from the top rope by Riddle was phenomenal. You know, a leg tag by Roman. I know people are going to get triggered by that. Triggered by an ankle tag. Not thrilled with it, but you know, I'll take it. Spear on Riddle. 1, 2, 3. Roman wins the match. No afterbirth. Nobody jumped anybody. There was no secret surprises. Nobody jumped out of the woodwork. Just Roman wins, and we go off the air. Phenomenal show from top to bottom. Nothing spectacular took place, but it seemed like everything that needed to happen did happen. It doesn't feel like these feuds are over. Like, it feels like the RK Bro Usos thing is going to get another month. The Edge Styles thing is going to get another month. Omos and Lashley are going to get another month. All of the feuds on this show, maybe with the exception of Corbin and Moss, which, you know, this is actually the first match between those two. So I can almost guarantee that match is going to continue. But Charlotte is done for a while. And that's pretty interesting. You just want to see how the new champion draws. So you just want to see if the new champion can make the money, maintain the viewers, maintain the business. So you take the old champion away. You know, it's classic WWE stuff. They did it with Hogan and Warrior. They did it with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. You know, whenever a long-running champion loses, or a prolific main event star, instead of dropping them down the card, you take them away for a while. So Brock's gone after his run at the top, you know, so now Charlotte gets to take her vacation. I wouldn't bring Charlotte back before, what month is it? It's May? Why bring her back before August? There really is no reason to bring her back before August. You know, she shouldn't be, and when she does come back, she should not be in the mix. She should be, you know, I wouldn't say mid-card, because that's not the appropriate term to use, but she should be still in her position, but she should be should be on a non-title off-path feud. But them taking Charlotte away is the best thing for Charlotte, it's the best thing for us, it's the best thing for Ronda. Because a lot of people thought that they were going to continue this Ronda and Charlotte thing. It's like, well, how can they? They've just done an injury angle for Charlotte. So now she's going to be gone for a while, and they've written her off screen. They're going to do a hell of a thing trying to build up a new contender for Ronda. So bless them for that. You know, maybe that'll be the Alexa Bliss spot. You know, she's been waiting for a while, and she hasn't been doing anything, and even though I don't think she's a baby face, I don't think she's a heel, she could easily maintain her heeldom. I've seen some people, specifically in my comment section, that say that Becky and Charlotte are going to switch in the draft, and that's entirely possible. But that the draft is in October or something like that. It's not anytime recent. I think you need to have an opponent for Ronda for Hell in a Cell. And I think that the best person for that job, it would probably be Shayna Baszler. You know, maybe Shayna Baszler would be the opponent. Maybe Natalya would be the opponent. Because Ronda has storylines she could play with both of them. Shayna was one of her trainers for the WrestleMania match, and Natalya is her friend, former mentor, all that kind of stuff. So you could play those roles. But they also have Natalya and Shayna Baszler mixed up in that tag team thing. So maybe not them. Sonya Deville couldn't even, she couldn't win the Raw Women's title, so maybe it's she'll try to win the SmackDown Women's belt. But she's already been submitted by Ronda Rousey, so you can't use her. You just did Shotzi in a goddamn beat the clock sprint, so you can't use her. Xia Li, you don't even bring her on TV. So, I mean, her, I guess. But she seems like somebody that Ronda Rousey would beat on TV, and then that's kind of it. But it would be an interesting contest, I think, if you have Xia Li as basically another younger Asuka, who is basically a strike demon, who hits hard, and, you know, she does nice kicks and everything. That would be interesting, and I don't see why they don't go that route with her. I hate to put it that way, but she could be basically Asuka's replacement. She's not Japanese. But you're talking about a younger woman who knows martial arts and who's tough, you know, and whose strikes look like they hurt like hell because she knocked out a woman twice her size with a kick to the face, you know. Let's go, you know. So I don't see why we don't use Xia Li. She hasn't lost. So I think that's your best option is Xia Li. So let's go with that. I don't know. I don't know, man. But I'm just glad Charlotte's going to be gone. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for your time. I will talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort so quick.